So I am reading from Paul Bunyan, or John Bunyan, I'm sorry, Pilgrims Progress. And it is illustrated by Keith Chris. It's retold by Mack Thomas. I'm going to read chapter 1, and it's called Seeking His Fortune. Seeking his fortune. In my dream, I saw a man in rags standing outside his house. A huge burden was on his back. He was reading a book and sobbing and shaking. "What should I do?" he cried. At last he went inside. He was quiet, wanting to hide his trouble from his family. But he couldn't stay silent long. "Oh, dear wife," he burst out, "and my own children, this burden is breaking me. And now I've learned for certain that fire from heaven will destroy our town. We'll all be burned up, unless somehow we can find an escape." His wife and children were shocked, not because they believed his words, but because they thought his mind was terribly sick. Since night was coming, they thought some sleep would settle him down. They helped him to bed, but he spent all night moaning and weeping. In the morning, they asked how he felt. "Worse," he answered. He repeated what he said the day before, but his wife and children didn't care to hear it. They scolded him, then made fun of him. Finally, they ignored him, so he went into his bedroom to pray for them. The next few days, he often walked alone in the fields nearby, reading sometimes and sometimes praying. In his trouble, he would cry out again, "What should I do to be saved?" Once he thought about running away, but which way would he run? Then a man named Evangelist came up to him and asked, "Why do you cry?" "I understand from this book," he answered, "that I'm to die and then be judged. I don't want to die." "Why not?" Evangelist said, "since this life has so many troubles." "I'm afraid this burden on my back will sink me into the place that burns with fire." The man answered, "I'm not fit to be judged. Just thinking about it makes me weep." "Then why are you just standing there?" Evangelist said. "Because I don't know where to go." Evangelist gave him a sheet of paper. On it the man read these words: "Run away, for God's anger is coming." He looked carefully at Evangelist. "Where should I run?" Evangelist pointed across a wide field. "Do you see that narrow gate?" "No." "Then do you see that shining light?" "I think so." "Keep it in sight," Evangelist said. "Go straight for it. Then you'll see the gate. Knock at it, and you'll be told what to do." So the man began to run. From his house, his wife and children saw him. "Come back," they called. But he pressed his fingers to his ears and hurried toward the light. "Life," he shouted. "Oh, life that will last forever." He never looked back. Two of his neighbors, one named Obstinate and the other Pliable, went after the man. He was far ahead, but Obstinate and Pliable soon caught up. They told him he should come back with them. "I can't," he answered. "This town is the city of destruction. Whoever stays here will sink lower than the grave, to a place burning with fire and lightning. Please, good neighbor, go with me." "What?" said Obstinate. "And leave behind our friends and all the good things we have?" "Yes," answered the man, whose name was Christian. "Yes, indeed. And Christian because Nothing you leave behind is worth comparing with even the tiniest part of what I'm going after. There's more than enough for all of us to share. Go with me and prove it. But what exactly are you going after? Obstinate asked. I seek my fortune, Christian answered, a perfect fortune that can never be lost or spoiled or changed. It's waiting in heaven for anyone who goes after it. Here, read about it in my book. Oh, oh, tush, said Obstinate. Away with your book. Will you come back with us or not? No, Christian answered. I've put my hand on the plow. Christian drew back. Then, then come, neighbor Pliable, he said. We'll return home without this crazy roosterhead. Don't be so rough on him, said Pliable. If what good Christian says is true, he'll find better things than what we have here. My heart wants to go with my neighbor. What? Shouted Obstinate. Another fool? Listen to me, Pliable. Who knows where this brain-sick fellow will lead you? Come back. No, Pliable, pleaded Christian. Go with me, your neighbor. There's even more glory to be had than what I've told you. If you don't believe me, read it in my book. It's all guaranteed by the blood of the one who wrote it. Pliable made up his mind to go with Christian. But, he said, do you know the way to this wonderful place? A man named Evangelist directed me to a gate not far away. Christian assured him. We'll get more instructions there. Pliable smiled. Let's go. Now in my dream, I saw them leave Obstinate behind. They talked together while crossing a large field. I'm glad you're with me, said Christian. Obstinate would never turn his back on us if only he knew the terrible things that are coming. Well, neighbor, Pliable said, now that it's just the two of us, tell me more about what we'll enjoy in the place we're going. Christian smiled. I'll read it to you from my book. But do you know for sure the words in that book are true? Yes, said Christian. It was written by one who cannot lie. Christian said to him about an endless kingdom where they could live forever, will be given crowns of glory, and clothes to wear that make us shine like the sun. I like that, said Pliable. What else? There'll be no more crying or sadness because the owner of the place will wipe away every tear. You'll see angels to dazzle your eyes, and will be with everyone who went there before us, all of them loving and good. They're always in God's care, and He's glad to have them forever. Some of them on earth were cut to pieces or burned or eaten by wild animals or drowned, all because of their love for the Lord. But now that they're with Him, they can never die. My heart beats faster just hearing it, said Pliable. How do we get to share in all of this? He tells us how in this book. He says if we're truly willing to have it all, then he'll give it to us for free. Oh, my good partner, said Pliable, let's go faster. I can't go as fast as I'd like, Christian said, because of this burden on my back. Now in my dream, I saw them approach a swampy bog. It was called the Slough of Despond. Suddenly, without watching, they both fell in. They wallowed in it and were quickly coated with mud and muck. Neighbor Christian, snorted Pliable, where are we now? Truly, Christian blurted out, I don't know. Pliable grew angry. Is this the happiness you told me about? If I ever get out of this mess alive, You can have your new country all to yourself. With a desperate tumble, he finally pulled himself out. Back he went across the field they had crossed, until he was out of Christian sight. Alone, Christian worked his way to the far side of the slough, but he found it impossible to pull himself out. Under his burden, he began to sink. That's the end of chapter 1.